On the day of my 5th anniversary with Leo, I waited for him at the restaurant. I waited all day, but he never showed up. The truth came to light when I finally gave up and opened my social media feed. A picture, posted by Leo's best friend, Serena, stopped my heart. The caption read, "Leo is too much." He even made me rehearse his proposal with him. In the photo, Leo was on one knee, his expression a mask of pure devotion. He was holding up a diamond ring, the very one I had spent months designing, and presenting it to her. My thumb hovered for a second before I liked the post. It was deleted almost instantly. A moment later, my phone rang. It was Leo, his voice tight with anger. "I was just trying to make sure everything was perfect for you. Why do you have to be so passive-aggressive about it? You made Serena cry, you know that?" Before I could even form a word, he had hung up and blocked my number. The silence that followed was heavier than any of his shouts. Seconds later, a notification popped up, a charge from a high-end downtown hotel. I knew what that meant. He was off to comfort his best friend. This time, I didn't feel the energy to fight. When Leo finally came home, I had just recovered from a wave of intense stomach cramps. My pre-existing stomach condition meant I couldn't skip meals, but I had. We had booked a luxurious all-you-can-eat buffet for our anniversary, and I didn't want him to make his usual comments about my small appetite or how I was no fun to eat with. I had deliberately starved myself all day, hoping for just one perfect, happy evening with him. I waited at that restaurant, eating nothing, until the staff began politely cleaning up around me. If it wasn't for seeing Serena's post, I might still be standing outside on the cold pavement, waiting like a fool. Leo slipped off his shoes and glanced at the takeout containers on the coffee table. His tone was clipped with displeasure. "Why didn't you wait for me to eat?" I didn't look at him, focusing on unwrapping my bland congee. "I didn't think you were coming back tonight." In the past, I would have waited, no matter how late. I would have kept his dinner warm and done everything in my power to soothe whatever bad mood he was in. But years of my devotion had been treated as worthless. He didn't even notice the pale, drawn look on my face. He walked over to the table and casually tossed a couple of roses in front of me. "It's almost our anniversary, right? I saw these on my way home and thought of you. I know you don't like all that flashy stuff, so I just grabbed a couple." The flowers were already wilting, their sad petals drooping. A muddy footprint was stamped across the ribbon. They were identical to the ones I had seen scattered in the corner of Serena's proposal photo. He had always known I was practical and disliked waste, so he had stubbornly decided that I didn't care for romantic gestures or anniversaries. Over the years, his grand bouquets of 99 roses had dwindled to 11, and now, to these two pathetic, discarded stems. His love for me could now be feigned with trash he picked up from the street. I gave him a cool glance and went back to my meal. My lack of reaction seemed to annoy him. He frowned. "Chloe, what's wrong with you now? I go out of my way to buy you flowers and you're still not happy. You just have to be difficult, don't you? You can't stand it when I spend money on you." "I don't want things you picked up from the gutter," I said softly. "They're dirty." Just then, his phone buzzed. A smile instantly broke across Leo's face as he read the message. Forgetting I was even in the room, he became engrossed in a cheerful text exchange. I didn't need to see the screen to know who it was. A moment later, his smile vanished, replaced by a flash of anger directed at me. "What did you say to Serena now? The poor girl is blaming herself for everything. If there was really something going on between us, do you honestly think you'd still be here?" He reached over to grab my hand, to pull me into an embrace or an argument, I wasn't sure which. But after starving all day, I had no strength left. The sudden pull sent me tumbling off balance. My forehead struck the sharp corner of the table, and a warm trickle of blood ran down my temple. He scoffed. "Stop being so dramatic. You're usually strong as an ox. Now I barely touch you and you fall over," he sneered. "Don't think playing the victim gets you off the hook. You're not a teenager anymore, that act is getting old." The throbbing in my head and the twisting pain in my stomach left me dizzy. I had no energy to argue. I sighed, weakly clutching his sleeve. Just, take me to the hospital. I don't feel well. The sight of the blood finally registered. Panic flickered in his eyes and he scooped me into his arms. As we got to the car, he held the passenger door open for me, a gesture of hollow chivalry. I ignored it and climbed into the back seat. Now what? Are you just trying to find things to be mad about? He snapped impatiently. Then he noticed the little custom placard on the passenger side dashboard, Serena's special seat. He cleared his throat, suddenly looking uncomfortable. Serena said she gets carsick and needs to sit in the front. You barely ride in this car anyway, so I just let her have it. I pressed my hand to my head, curling into the corner of the back seat, listening to his excuses with a profound sense of detachment. It wasn't that I didn't want to ride in the car, it was that he'd told me our offices were in opposite directions and it was inconvenient to give me a ride. The car itself was another story. I had bought it. His commute was a grueling 2 hours on the subway, and I'd felt sorry for him, so I gave him the car to drive. Now, it seemed he'd forgotten that. He'd forgotten I was the owner, and he had let another woman claim it as her own. Leo kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror, as if he wanted to say something more. Before he could, Serena's custom ringtone filled the car. Whatever she said on the other end made him instantly tense up. The hospital is right up ahead. I have something urgent to take care of, I'll come get you later. The car stopped at a red light. I opened the door and got out without a word. I saw a flicker of hesitation on his face, a word left unspoken, but his phone buzzed again, demanding his attention. The car sped away, splashing a sheet of muddy water all over me as it pulled away from the curb. He never even noticed. While waiting in the long line at the ER, the world finally went dark. I fainted. I woke up 3 hours later in a hospital bed, my wound cleaned and bandaged. My phone screen was dark. No messages, no missed calls from Leo. The only new thing was Serena's feed. She had posted again. My cat scratched me and someone is acting like it's the end of the world. He's so sweet, treating me like I'm made of glass. By the time I stood outside the hospital doors, it was the dead of night. The streets were empty. Leo's phone went straight to voicemail. Just as I was about to call a cab, my own phone died. I walked for over an hour. Just as I could see our apartment building in the distance, a clap of thunder broke the silence, and the sky opened up. A torrential downpour soaked me to the bone in seconds. Shivering from the cold, my head spinning, I finally stumbled home. I had just finished toweling myself dry when the bedroom door was kicked open. It was Leo, his face a mask of fury. What is wrong with you? Your phone's off, I couldn't reach you for 4 hours. Anyone would have thought you'd died at the hospital. I told you to wait for me at the entrance. I steadied the glass on my nightstand that had rattled from the force of the door. I stared at him, bewildered. I had called him 10 times, and not one had gone through. He had left me at the hospital for hours without a single follow-up, and now he was blaming me for being unreachable. I was too tired for his self-serving games. Before you say another word, I said, my voice cold, why don't you check your own phone? Look at your call log and see if I tried to contact you. His anger faltered. When he saw my name in his blocked list, the fire in his eyes died out completely. He rubbed his nose, a nervous habit. Serena must have hit it by accident when she was using my phone to take pictures, he mumbled. All right, stop sulking. You didn't get to eat much tonight, right? I brought you some crawfish. Come and try it. My eyes fell to the takeout box in his hand. It was almost entirely filled with red chili peppers, with only a few lonely crawfish buried within. My stomach couldn't handle spicy food, and on top of that, I was allergic to shellfish. It was obvious this was what he and Serena had left over from their dinner. The old me would have been thrilled that he'd remembered to bring me food, no matter what it was. But now, it just felt like a cruel joke. I managed a weak, tired smile. No, thank you. I don't have an appetite. You can throw it away. His control snapped. He hurled the container against the wall, splattering red oil and peppers everywhere. Have you lost your mind? I bring you food out of the kindness of my heart, and this is the thanks I get, he roared. You're becoming more and more dramatic. So I rehearsed the proposal with Serena. So what? You want to drag this out forever? She was just trying to help, to make sure I didn't mess up and disappoint you. Why do you have to be so petty and unreasonable? Why did you have to go and chew her out in private messages? I could feel the wound on my forehead begin to throb again. I was out of strength. I really don't want to eat, I whispered. And I'm not trying to cause a scene. That day, I only. Enough, he cut me off. You women are all the same, always saying the opposite of what you mean. You know I hate jealous, possessive women. I've told you 1,000,000 times, Serena is just my best friend. Can you stop letting your imagination run wild? How am I supposed to marry you when you act like this? Marriage. For 5 years, I had brought it up countless times, desperate and humbled by my desire to be his wife. I had dropped so many hints, practically begging him to propose. Now, after he had already knelt for another woman, the word felt like ash in my mouth. I no longer cared. Think whatever you want. It was the first time I had ever used his own line against him, a phrase he had thrown at me more times than I could count. With that, I gathered my things and went back to the bedroom to rest, leaving him standing in the mess he'd made. A look of pure shock crossed his face. He never imagined I would dare to speak to him that way. I wasn't in bed for long before I felt a hot body press against my back. Come on, he murmured, his voice suddenly soft. Let's just meet in the middle. Let's not fight. His hand began to wander up from my waist. Chloe, it's been so long since we. Then, the scent hit me. Serena's perfume. It was all over him. A wave of nausea washed over me, and I gagged. Don't touch me, I choked out. You're making me sick. Leo muttered a curse under his breath, then stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him. For the next few days, a peace offering of a freshly made breakfast was waiting on the table every morning. It was Leo's classic apology tour. I ignored it completely. He finally seemed to realize his old tricks weren't working. One evening, I came home to find him in the kitchen, wearing an apron and pulling a dish out of the oven. You're home. Go wash up, dinner's ready. Throughout the meal, he was attentive and kind, constantly asking if I needed anything. I responded with cold, one-word answers. The charade was interrupted when Serena called. Don't forget about the get-together tonight, she said, her voice loud enough for me to hear. And make sure you bring your little drama queen with you, so she doesn't get all suspicious again. Leo shot me a nervous look and quickly ended the call. Don't mind her, he said hastily. Serena's always been blunt, she doesn't mean any harm. You should get ready and come with me. And please, don't wear anything as revealing as last time. I'm not going. You can go by yourself. The word revealing brought back a flood of humiliating memories. The first time I met his friends, I had been so excited. I dressed up carefully, choosing a nice blouse and a skirt. Serena had immediately mocked me for trying to look seductive. Then she'd accidentally spilled a drink all over me and taken pictures of my soaked clothes while his friends laughed. They had plied me with alcohol, their eyes roaming over me freely, their words dripping with insults. For weeks after, those degrading photos circulated online. Leo's only response had been to yell at me. You dressed like that to get attention, didn't you? Now that people have seen the pictures, you're ashamed? Where was that shame before? Bringing it up now was like pouring salt in an open wound. She specifically invited you. Are you really going to be difficult about this? I already told her you were coming. Do you have to embarrass me like this? When he got stubborn, there was no stopping him. I was still weak from being sick, and he easily overpowered me, dragging me into the car. Seeing the look on my face, he softened his tone. Hey, it's okay. I warned them this time. They'll be on their best behavior, I promise. He drove like a maniac, forgetting all about my car sickness. The moment we arrived, Serena latched onto his arm and gave me a condescending once-over. Wow, you look so plain today. You should at least make an effort when you go out. You're making Leo look bad. Leo cleared his throat, cutting her off before she could say more. The others awkwardly ushered us to our seats. At the table, someone brought up the proposal rehearsal. Serena acted as if she had just remembered something. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot, she exclaimed, covering her mouth in mock surprise. Your engagement ring is still on my finger. I completely forgot to give it back. She started pulling at the ring, making a great show of how it wouldn't budge. What do I do? It's stuck. It's like it thinks I'm its owner now. Leo just waved a dismissive hand. Don't force it, you'll hurt yourself. If it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off. We'll just buy another one. He said it so casually, as if he'd completely forgotten that I had spent a year of my life designing that ring, pouring all my hopes for our future into its delicate details. I let out a long, slow breath and looked directly at him. There's no need for that. She can keep it, I said, my voice clear and steady. We're breaking up. That way, you two can be together, officially. Leo just stared at me, his face a mask of disbelief. The entire table fell silent, stunned by my words. Serena was the first to recover, letting out a short, mocking laugh. Girls always play these little games. Threatening to break up over every little thing. Leo's shock quickly morphed into anger. Chloe, have you had enough? You were the one pushing me to propose, the one who couldn't wait to get married. And now you're saying this? Don't come crying back to me when you change your mind. I met his gaze with a cold, unwavering stare. Leo, do you really want me to expose your disgusting behavior in front of all your friends? Without waiting for an answer, I took out my phone and pressed play on a recording. The memory of that day was seared into my brain. I had just picked up the finished ring and was about to surprise him with it when I overheard him talking to Serena. Are you really going to propose to that Chloe girl? Serena had teased. Letting her tie you down so soon? Leo had laughed. Of course not. We're not married yet, are we? It's just a proposal, how is that tying me down? I still have plenty of time to hang out with you, go to movies, go shopping. Besides, I have no plans to get married anytime soon. If it weren't for her family having a bit of money and the fact that she's so obsessed with me. She's worked so hard to be my perfect little girlfriend. A proposal is an easy way to keep her wrapped around my finger. At the time, lost in the fog of what I thought was love, I had dismissed it as him just talking tough with his friend. Looking back now, I realized I had only been fooling myself. When the recording ended, the air in the room was thick with suffocating silence. In that moment, I hadn't just torn away Leo's facade, I had ripped open my own wounds. The pain of cutting out the rot was sharp and spread through my entire body. Leo stared, frozen for a moment, before scrambling for an excuse. No, that's not. I was just joking that day, Chloe. It's not what you think. I just didn't want them to think I was. Enough, I said, my voice firm. I don't care what you were thinking. I believe I made myself clear. We are over. I grabbed my bag, stood up, and walked toward the door. The panic in Leo's eyes was real. He started to lunge after me, but was stopped in his tracks when Serena suddenly cried out and stumbled, falling to the floor. By the time I was in a taxi, Leo hadn't caught up. It was the same old story. He would always choose her, always let me go for her sake. We had fought about it countless times, and each time he would feed me the same lines. They grew up together, she was like a sister to him, their bond was purely platonic. And every time, terrified of losing our 5-year history, I had backed down. I had compromised until I had no dignity or self-respect left. Now, I finally saw the truth. A relationship that had rotted from the inside out was something you had to throw away. The wind from the open taxi window dried the tears on my cheeks. Even after 4 years in this city, I had never felt like I belonged. I had met Leo online, drawn in by his wit and humor. We texted for 6 months, then dated online for a year. After graduating from college, I had left my hometown without a second thought, moving across the country to be with him. I still remembered that 13-hour train ride, the way I surprised him with a birthday cake, and the look of pure joy and shock on his face as tears streamed down his cheeks. He had pulled me into a tight hug, his scent a comforting anchor, and whispered in my ear, "Chloe, you are so good to me. So good I want to marry you right now." He had long forgotten those words. But I hadn't. I remembered every rented apartment we lived in, every piece of furniture I bought to make it a home. And I remembered how his initial fiery passion had cooled to lukewarm indifference, and finally, to weary annoyance. When I got home, I started to pack, but I stopped, looking around the apartment. Every single thing, the sofa, the bed, the art on the walls, the very lease for the apartment, was mine. So why should I be the one to leave? He was the one who needed to go. I systematically packed all of Leo's belongings into boxes and left them by the front door. I had just finished my shower and was about to get into bed when he returned, his face flushed with anger. "Chloe, you're so manipulative. Playing that recording in front of everyone, you were just trying to force me to marry you sooner, weren't you?" I laughed, a cold, bitter sound. I could almost hear Serena in his words, acting as his emotional strategist, analyzing my every move for him. "Think whatever you want. I said it clearly tonight. We are done." For the first time, a look of genuine confusion crossed his face. "What did you say? What does done mean?" I looked at him, my expression unreadable. "You know exactly what I mean." He was silent for a long time, then he let out a laugh. "I don't believe you. I don't believe you'd throw away 7 years just like that. You're 28, Chloe, not 18. Do you really think you'll find someone better than me?" His tone softened. "Chloe, stop this. I got the ring back. If you want a grand proposal, I can give you that." I ignored his delusions and pointed to the boxes by the door. "I've packed your things. I rent this apartment, and I bought the furniture. If you have nothing else to say, please leave my home." His eyes followed my finger to the door, and his face turned an ugly shade of red. "Chloe, are you done with this act? There's a limit to playing hard to get." He kicked the boxes back into the apartment and stormed out, slamming the door. Leo didn't come back for days. Then, one morning, I received a call from the police station. "Are you a relative of Leo Chen? He's currently being held for questioning regarding a public assault. If it's convenient, could you please come down to the station?" I had no desire to go, but the officer implied the fight had something to do with me. When I arrived, I found Leo huddled on a bench. His face bruised and a cut on his lip still bleeding. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up like a starving wolf spotting its prey. He gently tugged on my sleeve, his voice small and pathetic. "Wife. I thought you weren't going to come for me." In our 5 years together, he had only ever called me that in moments of extreme passion. To him, wife was a title reserved for a woman he was legally bound to. Most of the time, he just called me by my name. I didn't respond, instead going to speak with the officer. It turned out Leo hadn't been fighting with strangers, he had been fighting with his own friends. One of them had pulled out those old, humiliating photos of me and started making crude comments. For the first time ever, Leo had defended me, grabbing a chair and bringing it down on the man. It was so unlike the Leo the first knew, the man who valued his brotherhood above all else. They had made comments like that before, but this was the first time he had ever stood up for me. It wasn't that he didn't know their words were hurtful, he had simply chosen to ignore it until now. "Wife, I did a good thing, right?" he asked, looking at me like a puppy waiting for a treat. "Look, my injuries really hurt. Have you forgotten that we broke up?" I said flatly. "And what does your pain have to do with me? The hospital is just down the street." His head dropped, and all the energy seemed to drain out of him. It was late when I finally got home from the station. I washed up and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Leo was gone from his vigil outside my door. I went to my office, planning to speak with my boss, Ethan, about a possible transfer back to my hometown. This city no longer held anything for me. Ethan was a college friend and had been a great mentor to me. I owed my promotion to team lead to his support. To thank him, I took him out to lunch. On my way back from the restroom, I saw a familiar scene unfolding in the restaurant's lobby. A path of rose petals led from the entrance. Leo stood behind Serena, his hands covering her eyes as he guided her forward. When he finally dropped his hands, Serena gasped. "Oh, Leo. This is so thoughtful, so romantic." He scratched his head, looking sheepish, and then his eyes met mine. He froze. He rushed over, blocking my path as I tried to leave. "Chloe, please, let me explain," he pleaded, grabbing my arm and pulling me toward the scene despite my struggles. Serena looked at me and smirked. Well. You said you didn't care, but you're so worried about Leo you followed him all the way here." I looked past her, confused, until my eyes landed on a large, framed photo behind her. It was a romantic portrait of her and Leo. I had begged him for months to take a couple's photo shoot with me, but he had always brushed it off as a waste of time and money. When he finally agreed, he had complained the entire time. "What's the point of this stuff?" he'd grumbled. "It's so expensive and all fake anyway. What does one picture prove?" Apparently, to Serena, it proved everything. "Chloe, don't misunderstand. This is all for you," Leo said frantically, seeing the look on my face. "I set all this up for your proposal. I wanted to surprise you, but you found it early." Serena was just helping me check it. He shot a desperate look at Serena, who picked up her cue. "That's right," she said, her voice dripping with false sincerity. "Leo spent days putting this all together himself. I've never seen him put so much effort into anything for anyone." She emphasized the word anything. I smiled knowingly. "It is very thoughtful. And your picture together is quite lovely." His gaze followed mine to the portrait. He immediately tried to backtrack. That must have gotten mixed in by accident. I'll take it down right now." Serena was just having a bad day, and I was trying to cheer her up, so we took. "Oh, it's just a picture," I interrupted. "Why are you explaining it to me? You could take wedding photos with her for all I care." I didn't even want him anymore. Why would I care who he took pictures with? "I have to go. You two can have the venue." As I turned to leave, Serena blocked my path. "Are you jealous, Chloe?" I reached into my bag and pulled out the matching men's ring, the one that completed the set I had designed. I pressed it firmly into Serena's hand. "Now you have the complete set. You can use it for your proposal or your wedding, whatever you want. I'm not interested in other people's leftovers. I wish you two the best. May you be locked together for life." I walked around her and didn't look back. This time, Leo chased after me, his face etched with a panic I had never seen before. "Chloe, how could you push me away to another woman? There is nothing going on between me and Serena. It's not what you think." "Oh? What does that have to do with me? We broke up. I'm not interested in your affairs." He didn't need me to push him. Every single time, he had been the one to abandon me for her. It was laughable that he was trying to deny it now. "Chloe, you can't doubt my loyalty to you. We're just friends. Our 5th anniversary is in a couple of days, isn't it? I know you wanted an unforgettable proposal before we got married, so I kept rehearsing it, checking every detail, just to make sure it was perfect for you." He sounded so sincere. If I weren't the one living through it, I might have actually believed him. "Leo, do I need to remind you that our 5th anniversary was a week ago? It was the day you were rehearsing your proposal with Serena." He froze, his eyes widening as he frantically pulled out his phone. He stared at the anniversary countdown app, which now showed 3 days remaining. He had said it wrong. How could this be?" he whispered. Just then, Ethan, my boss, came out to see what was taking me so long. "Chloe? Is everything all right?" Leo and Serena both looked up. A glint appeared in Serena's eye, as if she'd uncovered a scandalous secret. "So, that's why you broke up with Leo so easily," she said sweetly. "You already have someone new, don't you?" Leo's eyes widened in fury. He grabbed my wrist. "I haven't even agreed to the breakup and you've already found my replacement? Chloe, how could you do this to me?" I stared at the two of them, their hypocrisy a cold weight in my chest. He demanded I trust his loyalty while accusing me of infidelity without a second thought. I had nothing more to say to him. I shook off his hand and pulled Ethan toward the exit. A blur of motion, and suddenly Leo had Ethan pinned against the wall, landing a punch. "Leo, have you lost your mind?" I screamed, shoving him to the ground. The sharp crack of my hand across his face echoed in the lobby. "Do you want me to air all of your dirty laundry right here, right now, for everyone to see?" The fight went out of him instantly. He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "Chloe," I was impulsive. I just care about you so much." I laughed, helping Ethan to his feet. "You care about me?" I repeated. "If you cared about me, you wouldn't have abandoned me at the hospital to go comfort Serena. You wouldn't have left me to collapse alone. If you cared about me, you wouldn't have forgotten my birthday to take care of your best friend on her period. You wouldn't have taken my luggage by mistake on our road trip, leaving me stranded at a service station while you and Serena went on vacation together." With every truth I spoke, the color drained from Leo's and Serena's faces. They stood with their heads bowed in shame as I realized a crowd had gathered, drawn by the drama. At first, Leo tried to defend himself. "No, it's not like that. Serena comes from a single-parent home, I just wanted to look out for her. I have no romantic feelings for her, I swear." But the crowd was already murmuring, their voices drowning out his pathetic excuses. "Wow, that guy has no boundaries. His poor girlfriend. And that other woman is disgusting. She's a homewrecker hiding behind the best friend label. So shameless. If my boyfriend did that, I'd break his legs. She's practically moving in and he's still pretending it's a brotherly bond. He just wants to have his cake and eat it too." "Exactly. And a proposal rehearsal? Who wants a second-hand proposal? She even used her own photo. She's obviously desperate to take the girlfriend's place." Hearing what people were saying about her, Serena's face turned bright red. She stammered, trying to form a defense, but no words came out. Tears welled in her eyes as she tugged on Leo's sleeve, but he shook her off, his eyes fixed desperately on me. "I'm done playing this three-person game," I announced to them, and to the crowd. "I don't want Leo anymore. You two can have your proposal, get married, do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with me." I looked at Leo. "Oh, and one more thing. I want my car back. Just because you've been driving it doesn't make it yours." With that, I took Ethan's arm and walked away, leaving them to the mercy of the crowd. Leo tried to come to my apartment later, but the security guard I had spoken to earlier turned him away. I sent him a single text, "Bring the car back. Otherwise, we have nothing to discuss. Don't make me call the police." I stood at my window, watching his silhouette by the curb. He leaned against my car, smoking one cigarette after another, his phone pressed to his ear. As he called me again and again. He had probably called me more in the last few hours than he had in the past 5 years. I didn't answer a single one. When you stop loving someone, you really do stop caring. I packed the last of my things and arranged for movers. After selling the car, I took a train back to my hometown. I had told my parents I would be bringing Leo home for the holidays. I had broken that promise. They understood everything the moment they saw me standing on the doorstep, alone with my suitcases. They didn't ask any questions. They just wrapped their arms around me. "You're home," my mom whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "That's all that matters. You're home." I fought back tears, pulling out the gifts I had brought for them. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother quickly wipe a tear from her cheek. A few days later, a truck loaded with thousands of roses pulled up in front of our house. Leo got out, holding his bank card, and knelt on the pavement. "Chloe, I know I was a fool. I know I hurt you. The things I said on that recording, that was just my stupid pride talking. It wasn't the truth. You're the only one I've ever wanted to marry." He held up his phone, showing me his chat history with Serena. "I've made it clear to her. I have no romantic feelings for her. We will never see each other privately again. From now on, you will be the only woman in my life. He pulled a new ring box from his pocket. I know the first ring was your design, your favorite. I was an idiot to let it be tainted. I paid a fortune to have this one remade. It's clean now, Chloe. Just look at it. Can you really forget all the good times we had? So he did remember. He remembered the cherry blossom design on the ring symbolized the day we first met. He knew exactly what mattered to me, what hurt me. He had simply taken my love for granted. The one who forgot wasn't me, Leo. It was you. You forgot the promises you made. You forgot you swore you would never be like your father, but you followed right in his footsteps. You forgot a heart can't be shared by two people. Go away, I said, my voice empty of emotion. Don't come back. You could kneel there until you die, and I still wouldn't forgive you. His straight back slumped. The sky, as if on cue, darkened, and a sudden downpour drenched him. He stayed there, stubbornly kneeling, as if he was betting on me to have a change of heart. 2 hours later, his face was white and his lips were blue. When I came outside, he was clutching his stomach, his eyes pleading as he looked up at me. I knew it, he gasped. I knew you still cared about me. Chloe, Under his hopeful gaze, I dialed a number on my phone. Hello, police? There's a stalker harassing me outside my house. Could you please send an officer to remove him? The smile on Leo's face froze. Don't get the wrong idea, I told him coldly. I just can't stand having trash on my doorstep. As the words left my mouth, his eyes rolled back in his head, and he collapsed. I sighed. Now he was wasting medical resources, too. Half an hour later, the spot where he had been was empty. I thought that would be the end of it. But 2 days later, Leo moved into the building next to mine. As if he had suddenly discovered a new strategy, he didn't approach me or bother me. Instead, every morning, a single rose and a bag of my favorite snacks would appear on my doorstep. I ignored them all, and the neighborhood cleaning lady happily took them home. One day, a commotion drew a crowd near the entrance to our complex. As I got closer, I could hear Serena's shrill voice. Leo, what about all the years I waited for you? What was all that for? Why can't you just give us a chance? Leo stood stiffly, pushing her away. I've told you clearly, I don't love you. I see you as family, that's all. She shook her head in disbelief, tears streaming down her face. I don't believe you. Every time I needed you, you were there in a second. Don't tell me you have no feelings for me. That night I took off my clothes for you, you wanted me, I know you did. That's enough, Serena. Leo shouted, his face red. You know perfectly well I was drunk and thought you were Chloe. Nothing happened between us. Do you want me to say something even crueler to make you give up? Don't pretend I don't know about your other life, about being some rich man's mistress. You're telling me you love me now? Don't you think that's ridiculous? It was quite the bombshell. People in the crowd already had their phones out, live-streaming the drama. Hearing the whispers and accusations around her, Serena started screaming hysterically. Leo backed away from her in disgust. Then he saw me on the edge of the crowd, and his expression turned to one of excitement. He started walking toward me. Before he could speak, I stopped him. What, do you want me to retell our entire story for all these people and their live streams? He froze. I fanned the air in front of my face with disgust. You know, you two are two sides of the same coin. A perfect match. His face went white. He looked like he was about to faint. The story of their public fight went viral. Someone even found and posted the story of what happened at the restaurant. Overnight, Serena became a notorious figure. I heard a wealthy businessman's wife even hired people to teach her a lesson. Leo didn't escape unscathed. After becoming infamous in our neighborhood, he was met with glares and insults every time he left his apartment. A week later, he packed his bags and went back to his own hometown. My world was finally quiet. A few months later, my company announced it was relocating its headquarters to my hometown. The office gossip was that our boss, Ethan, was chasing after the one that got away, his white moonlight from college. But Ethan and I went to the same university. I couldn't remember him ever being close to any particular girl. Oh well. Maybe I'll get to meet her someday. For now, all I needed to do was keep moving forward. The right person, I knew, was waiting for me in the future.